let's learn about functions. So you've already been writing a main function, and a function is just a bunch of code that's given a name. So the name of this function is main. And the goal in programming is to write functions that perform each individual task in your program. And then when you need to execute that task, you just call the function. And once a function is written, if you need to execute that task several different times, you just call it rather than writing that code over and over. And so one example of a function is we can put this message in a function. So think about all the inputs, the outputs, and the calculations in your program, and you will be making functions for each of those. So this is the welcome message, right? And so I'm going to create a function down below this main function. So I can actually hide that function like this. And I'll create a function and I'll call it print welcome. And when you create a function, you give it a return type. And the return type on this function is going to be void, meaning that this function is just going to do something and it won't give any information back. And then the name of the function, print welcome. Function names will start with a lowercase letter, and then you'll have an open, close parenthesis, and then an open and close curly bracket. And that is the body of the function. And so that's where all the code goes. So if I hide this function, you can see this entire program has two functions. It has a main function and it has a print welcome function. So I'm going to expand those. And I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put it down here. And when I want to print this information out, I'm just going to call the function. So this is called the function definition. And then the function call is you just type the function name and the parentheses and a semicolon. And when I run this, I'm going to get an error, and it's going to say that print welcome is undeclared, meaning that when this program is being compiled, it starts at the top and it does each line by line. So when it came to this call, it doesn't know about this function because this function was defined below. So what we have to do is create what's called a function prototype. So I'm going to copy the header of the function and I'll put it up here and just end that with a semicolon. So now when I run this, you can see that the welcome message is printed and then it prompts the user for their wait. Once a function is defined, you can just call it over and over. So if I happen to type in the call twice and I run this, you can see that that message is printed twice, right? So how the flow works is when it gets to this line, it goes to where that function is defined, which is down here, and it will execute these lines of code, and then it will go back up here, and then it will go to the next line, and it will execute. So function calls cause the program to go to where the function code is, execute that code, and then it returns back to where the call is placed.